new subject actually, that is web technology. So why we are using web technology? Why you have to learn the web technology? Each and everything we will learn. Okay. I want one clarity from your side that are you aware with the Edit Plus? How to use the Edit Plus? How to work with the Edit Plus? Okay, that's great then. So Edit Plus is enough. If you want to perform the programs of the web technology, this Edit Plus one software is enough. I don't require any other softwares. That is enough. Okay, that's great. And if you don't have the Edit Plus also Notepad, if you don't have Edit Plus, Notepad is there. If you are working, if you are using the MacBook, then you can go with the Sublime text editor for the MacBook. If you are using the MacBook, then you can go with the Sublime text editor. This all the softwares, if you have, you easily you can perform the web technology program, no problem at all. No problem, Pratap. You can perform in that also. Okay, guys, just wait for a while. Everyone just observe. Firstly, we will see why you have to learn the web technology, what are the techniques, what are the languages you are going to learn over here, each and everything. So first thing, ma'am, what is the purpose of web technology? What is purpose? Why we are using the web technology as a concept? So just observe here. I think all are you aware with the one terminology, call it as web application? Are you aware with the terminology, call it as web application? In the most simple words, just tell me, are you aware with the web sites? Yes or no? I think most of we can maintain a notes, ma'am. And don't worry regarding the notes. I will give you the each and every notes. So don't worry about that. So tell me, guys, are you aware with this particular terminologies like web application, websites? Okay. So if you are not aware with this terminology, just remember, web application is nothing but you can take the example of your most important application, that is Flipkart, or you can take the example of your Zomato. Sorry, not Zomato. You can take the example of Amazon. You can take the example of IRCTC application. This all the application, if you want to open inside the system, if you want to open inside your system, then first thing you require, that is nothing but you have to connect the internet with your system, and second thing you have to require, that is nothing but browser. Browser in the sense, if you want to access the any application in the system, that time you require the browser. For example, like Google Chrome. Then you can go with the Microsoft Edge, or else you can go with the Firefox. Like many browsers are there. You can go with the Opera. It's your choice. But remember, whenever you want to access any web application like Flipkart, Amazon, IRCTC, Myntra, many applications are there. For that, to access that each and every application, just you require two things. First thing is internet, and second thing is browser. Browsers, you have multiple types of browsers like Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Firefox, and Opera. So just remember, we are learning the web technology to create this web application. Why? So listen now. Every web application contains the two important components. Every web application contains the two important components. What are the two important components? So you can take any example. What are the two important components? First one is your front end, And second one is nothing but backend. Okay, every web application, you can take the example of any application. It is having the front end as well as it is having the back end. So here, why we are using the web technology, why you have to learn the web technology, just for one purpose, that is nothing but whenever you want to design the front end of the application. If you want to design the front end of an application, that time you are going to use the web technologies. Now, many of you have the doubt, ma'am, what do you mean by front end? Ma'am, what do you mean by front end? So guys, this front end, you can call it as a user interface also. This front end, you can call it as a user interface also. Means what? The thing which is visible to the user, the things, the component which are visible to the user, we are calling it as a front end of an application. For example, if supposedly here I open the Google Chrome. On this Google Chrome, you can see many things like background image is there, this Google format is there, this all the tabs are there. So whatever the things are you able to see, whatever the things is visible to your eyes, this each and every component, we are calling it as a front end. The component which are visible to the user, we are calling it as a front end. And to design this front end of an application, you have to learn web technology. To design this front end of an application, you have to learn the web technology. So every time, remember why you have to learn the web technology: to design the front end of the application. And what is front end of the application? Can anyone tell me what is front end of the application? The component which are Tell me guys, the component which are exactly correct. I want the response from each and everyone. Just tell me the component which are visible to the user, we are calling it as a front end of the application. Can I call the front end of the application by the another name? Another name for the front end. Exactly. Nothing but user interface. Good. Done. What is backend? Backend is nothing but opposite to front end. If any content or any component is not visible to the user, if any component is not visible to the user, we are using the backend for this. Okay, we are using the backend for this. And to develop this backend, you require two things. Firstly, Core Java plus SQL. To develop this backend of the application, you require two things: Core Java and SQL. So remember guys, concept is very easy. As I said, what is the purpose of web technology? So simple thing is there. Firstly, understand what is web application. So the application which is working with the internet as well as with the browser, we are calling it as a web application. Every web application is having the two important components: front end as well as back end. Front end, you can call it as a user interface also, and the front end is nothing but the component which are visible to the user. To develop this front end, we require the web technology. And backend is nothing but the component which are not visible to the user. To develop the backend, we require Core Java plus SQL. Is it clear? Is it clear, guys? Ardhamainda? We have sub languages. In the web technology, we have few sub-languages. What are that sub-languages? Just observe over here. So in the web technology, we are going to learn three languages. First one is HTML, second one is CSS, and third one is JavaScript. This all the three languages we are going to learn in the your web technology: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. In short, why we are using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? HTML, you can take an example like supposedly, if I want to create the structure of the car, we will take the example like I want to create the BMW car. Okay, BMW car. So if I want to create the structure of this BMW car, that time I will use the HTML. To design structure of BMW car, I will use the HTML. Now I want to give the color. To the BMW car. After that, I want to give some other effects to the BMW car. Like I want to give the shine effect. I want to provide the tires, everything. I want to decorate. In short, I want to decorate this car. So what I will do that time, I will use the CSS. If you want to decorate BMW, then you will use the CSS. At last, now I want to give the action to the car. Action in the sense what? Horn effect. You can drive the car. This all comes under in the action. So to give that actions for your car, we are using the JavaScript. So why we are using the JavaScript? To provide the actions for BMW. So in the simple words actually, in the web technology, we are going to learn the three concepts: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Why we are using the HTML? To create the structure of your website. Why we are using the CSS? To decorate the website. And why we are using the JavaScript? So to give the functions for our website. So instead of BMW, we will replace this with the websites, or you can go with the application. So to create the structure of my application, I will use the HTML. To decorate my application, I will use the CSS. And at last, to give the action for my application, I will use the JavaScript. Is it clear, guys? Is it clear? Are you able to understand? Okay, awesome then. Done. So just quickly give the answer of my question and I will show you the notes. Tell me, the application which is working with the internet as well as with the browser, we are calling it as the application. Decorate in the sense to give the color for the web page, to give the background image, it is the decoration. Okay, we are calling it as a good, we are calling it as a web application. After that, every web application have two important components. Can you tell me the name of that components? Can you tell me the name of that components? Good, front end and back end. The component which are visible to the user, we are calling it as exactly. We are calling it as a user interface, or we are calling it as a front end. The component which are not visible to the user, we are calling it as We are calling it as a backend. Now, to develop the front end of an application, which technologies we are going to use? Good. We are using the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And to develop the backend of an application, we are using for Java and SQL. Awesome. Done. Now, if I want to, my question is simple. If I want to create the structure of the web page, I will go with the good. Correct. Next is if I want to decorate my web page, then exactly correct. Last is if I want to provide the actions for the web page. Good, done. So just give the heading as web technology, guys. Just give the heading as web technology. And just write down these notes. Fast. Okay, I hope it is done. Good then. So next. Here, from today, we are going to start with the HTML. Nothing but I think everyone know the full form of the HTML. That is nothing but hyper text markup language. Everyone know? Okay. So now here, like as you know that Java is a programming language. Similarly, HTML is a markup language. I am not saying that HTML is a programming language. Remember always, HTML is a markup language. It is not a programming language. Why? What is the difference between programming language and markup language? So listen here. Whenever you want to write Java programs, that time you are going to use the syntax. If you want to write any Java program, that time you are going to use the syntax. By using this syntax, you are going to write the different instructions. By using this syntax, you are going to write the different instructions. That's the reason Java is a programming language. If any language is there which is responsible to take the help of syntax for writing a program, that language we are calling it as a programming language. Coming towards the markup language, to write the code in the markup language, we are going to take the help of term call it as tags. We are going to take the help of term call it as tags. So remember, whenever you want to write a code for the HTML, that time we are not going to use any kind of syntax. We are just going to use the tags. So ma'am, what is this tag? Nothing but these tags we are going to represent by using the angular brackets. These tags we are going to represent by using the angular bracket. So remember, in overall web technology, we have two types of language. First one is scripting language. Second one is markup language. So in this, your HTML as well as your CSS, both the languages are markup language. HTML as well as CSS, both the language are markup language. One more time, I am going to say the difference. Programming language means to write a code, you are going to use the syntax. By using this syntax, you are going to write the instruction. Coming towards the markup language, this language we are going to represent by using the tag, and this tag we are going to represent by using the angular bracket. Okay, for example, like this: angular bracket, tag name, and close it. Okay, we have in this also we have two types of tag. This type of tag we are calling it as opening or starting tag. And if you saw any tag something like this, angular bracket, / tag name, then this tag we are calling it as a closing or ending tag. So remember guys, why we are calling HTML as a markup language, CSS as a markup language? Reason is very simple, because I am going to represent this language in the form of tag, and to write down this tag I am going to take the help of angular bracket. In these tags we have two types of tag. First one is open or starting tag. Second one is closing or ending tag, which contains the /. Is it clear? Is it clear why you are calling HTML as a markup language? Okay, that's great. Next point. Next point. Here, how in the Edit Plus, how you can create the HTML file, how you are going to save it, how you are going to execute it, just observe here. So in the Edit Plus, you are going to create the HTML file in the simple way by using the shortcut, call it as Ctrl+Shift+N. This is the shortcut is there if you want to create the HTML file in Edit Plus. After this, to save the HTML file, like how to save the Java file, you are using the .java extension. Similarly, to save the HTML file, we are using the .html extension. Okay. For example, just observe here. First thing, I am going to create here one separate folder to store the HTML program. So right click or open any drive, like here I am going to open the D drive. Right click, new, and folder. Give the name for this folder like webpick. Give the name for this folder webpick. Now each and every program of HTML, CSS as well as JavaScript I will save in this folder, call it as webpick. How to create the file in the Edit Plus? So just open the Edit Plus. In the Edit Plus, just open your folder. So go to the directory. In the directory, choose the drive in which you created the folder. So I created the folder inside the D drive. Open this, open the D drive, and open the folder. Call it as webpick. To create the HTML file, as I said, shortcut is Ctrl+Shift+N. Once you're done with this Ctrl+Shift+N, you will get this particular code. Now, what is this code? Why we are writing this? Each and everything I will explain you. Don't worry about that. But just remember, if you want to create the HTML file, Task is very simple. Just open the Edit Plus and Control Shift N. Over here, Control S, and as I said, save this file with the .html extension. So here, first HTML program. Use the extension, call it as .html and save it. Done. File gets saved. What I will do, I'm just going to remove this overall line, and here I'm just going to type welcome. Without writing anything, I'm just going to type welcome to Web Technology World. Just save it. Once again, so concept is very simple, guys. You have to use the shortcut, call it as Control Shift N. Remove this all the code, because as now you don't know what is head, what is body, what is title, all the things I will teach you. And just save this file with the extension, call it as, give the name sample and use the extension .html. Save it. Done. Now to execute, I want to execute this program. So what I will do? Nothing but open the folder, call it as webtech. You can see both the file over here. To execute this file, just right click on it, open with Google Chrome. Remember, always try to use the Google Chrome. Whenever you want to use you want to execute the HTML file, always try to use the Google Chrome. Okay, always you should use the Google Chrome. So what you have to do for that, go to the folder where you saved the HTML file, right click on that folder, choose the option, call it as, right click on that folder, choose the option, call it as open with and Google Chrome. Supposedly first, right click, open with Google Chrome and observe the output. Are you able to see welcome to Web Technology World as output? Are you able to see this output? Means what will happen whenever you are going to execute your HTML file. Whenever you are going to execute your HTML file, that time you are giving the instruction to the web page. That time you are giving the instruction, you are going to give the guidance for the web page, which kind of output you want. That time you are going to give the guidance to the web page, that which type of output you want. So here I gave the instruction like, a browser, please print this particular text on my web page. Browser, please print this particular text on my web page. So browser did the same thing. You gave the instruction, browser print this particular thing on the web page, and browser did the same thing, nothing but it is going to print that particular text on the web page. So remember guys, whenever you want to write any HTML code, just open your Edit Plus. In the Edit Plus, Control Shift plus N, remove the code which you are able to see over there and just type the random text in this file. Save this file with the .html extension, and after this, if you want to execute your file, if you want to check your output, that time go to the folder, right click on the HTML file, open with Google Chrome. Right click on the HTML file, open with Google Chrome. This time you are giving the instruction to the browser, please print this particular output on my web page. Print this particular text on the web page. Once you click on this, you will get the output. Once you click on this, you will get the output. Are you able to understand how to create the HTML file as well as how to execute it? Okay, that's great. Firstly, just try to create the simple HTML file, then we will see tags, all that things. Many things are there. Yeah, directly it will execute. It is not like your Java that you have to use any syntax. Without this, without any tag also, you can print the output on the web page. Just try it, guys. Try to create the HTML file and try to execute it. Also same thing, Sham. You have to right click. How to zoom the output, just how you are going to zoom in the mobile, like that you have to do, Saiteja. You don't ask me this kind of questions. Any HTML code inside the HTML file, that time you are going to give the instruction to the browser, listen, I want this output on my web page. I want this type of design, I want this kind of structure on my web page. Please give me that structure. Is it clear? Done? Everyone? Okay. So one of your friend asked me, ma'am, is HTML is a case sensitive language? Ma'am, is it case sensitive language? So my answer is no. HTML is not a case sensitive language. Either you can write the HTML code in uppercase, in a lowercase. HTML is not at all case sensitive language. Okay, you are no need of maintaining the cases. You can either write in the lowercase or either you can write in a uppercase. Done. Good then. Super. Now the thing is, okay, ma'am, we got it. But before few minutes only, you said that we are going to use the tag. That tag is going to represent by using the angular brackets, something like that. But here, where you use that, still we are getting the output. So listen, guys. Listen, listen, listen. See, simple concept is there. Simple concept is there. If you are going to travel from one place to another place, obviously you have to follow the traffic rules. If you are not going to follow these traffic rules, then also you can reach to your destination, but you have to pay the penalty. Okay, that is for sure. Means to reach the same destination, either you have to follow the traffic rules or you can go without following the traffic rules. Similarly, here also, without writing the HTML tag, you can get the output. Without writing the HTML tag, also you can get the output, but still to create proper and neat web page. Proper and make use of. You have to make use of HTML template. Can anyone tell me the meaning of template? To create proper and neat web page, you have to make use of HTML template. But I want the meaning from you. What do you mean by template? Can I say template is nothing but format? Template is nothing but format. Like, for example, we will take the example of Java. In the Java, if you want to perform any program, you have to firstly create the class, give the class name, then you have to use the flower brackets. Inside this flower brackets, you have to write the main method. This is the syntax. Sorry, this is the format if you want to perform the Java program. Similarly, guys, if you want to perform HTML program, if you want to get proper output by writing the HTML program, here you have to use the HTML template. Means here you have to use the HTML format. So here, for this first tag in the HTML template is a HTML only. Open the HTML tag. And here you are going to close the HTML tag. Then second tag we are going to use, that is head tag. Close the head tag. Third tag, inside the head tag you are going to use title tag. Document. Close the title tag. Just wait. Close the title tag. And last tag, nothing but body tag. Close the body tag. So this totally 4 tags you have to write in your HTML file whenever you want the proper and neat web page. Okay, HTML, head, title, body, and yeah, that's it. So why we are using HTML tag, why we are using particular head tag, just observe. Consider this is your whole web page. This is your complete web page. To represent the complete web page, we are going to use the HTML tag. To represent the complete web page, we are going to use the HTML tag. In this web page, we have 2 sections. First one is a header section and second one is a body section. So to represent the header section of the web page, we are using the tag, call it as head tag. To represent the body section of the web page, we are using the tag, call it as body tag. And why we are using this title tag? So we are using this title tag to represent the tab name. What is tab name? Just observe here. Supposedly here, if I open the Flipkart website, so here you will get this particular tab name, that is online shopping site for mobiles, electronic furniture, grocery. So this is nothing but your tab name. This is your header section of the web page. This is the body section of the web page. To represent the overall web page, we are using the HTML tag. To represent the header section, head tag. Inside this header section, if you want to represent this tab name, then we are using the title tag, and to represent this body section, use the body tag. Okay, now observe. Same task I will perform here. HTML. Close the HTML tag. Then here, head. Close the head tag. Then inside the head, I will use the title tag. Close the title tag. Here just give the title as first HTML program. Then use body tag. Close the body tag. And here, this same statement I am going to print inside body tag. Just save it. Execute the HTML file. And are you able to get the same output? Are you able to get the same output? But the difference is here, are you able to get the tab name, first HTML program? Now, are you able to get the tab name, call it as first HTML program? Tell me guys, yes or no? Yeah. So remember, whenever you want to perform any HTML code, you have to write the HTML template. In the HTML template, totally we have 4 tags: HTML, head, title, and body tag. HTML to represent the complete web page, head tag for the header section, title tag for the tab name, and body tag for the body section. As I said, that why we are calling HTML as a markup language, because we are going to represent this language by the tag. So is it clear guys? Everyone? Is it clear? Any kind of doubt in this 4 tag? Okay, awesome then. Just try to type this HTML template and observe the output. Try to type this HTML template and observe the output. HTML code, then you can go with the and writer. So write down the notes. Just wait. Yeah. Each and everything is there, just write down the notes. Sentence. Supposedly, hypertext markup language. Just save it. Go to the browser, and now no need of executing one more time. Just refresh it. Just refresh it. Are you able to get the output? But now, here, if you observe, in the HTML file, I wrote both the sentence on the same line or on the different line. Different line. But as output, I am getting on same line or different line. Same line. So why it is like that? Every time observe, whenever you are going to give any spaces in the HTML file, that spaces will not get considered by the browser. If you gave here 1,000 spaces between these two sentences, not a single space will get considered by the browser. So remember one thing, here I'm just going to write down the comment. Everyone know the comment, how to give the comment in the Java? So here also in the HTML, you can give the comment angular bracket, exclamation mark, 2 hyphen, and just close it. So here just remember, browser not responsible to consider spaces of HTML file. So if browser is not responsible to consider the spaces of HTML file, and then also I want to create the space between this welcome to web technology world as well as hypertext markup language, that time what I will do, that time I'm just going to use one tag, call it as break tag. That time I will use one tag, call it as break tag. Why I will use this break tag? To shift this hypertext markup language on the next line. To shift the hypertext markup language on the next line. So observe, to represent the break tag, we are using BR. Just close this BR, save it, go to the browser and refresh it. Are you able to get that another sentence on the next line? Whenever you want any sentence on the next line, whenever you want any output on the next line, that time we are going to use one break tag. Okay? That time we are going to use the break tag, which is represented by using the BR. Why we are using this break tag? Because by default, if I remove this, if I save the file, just refresh the web page. So by default, your web browser is not going to consider any spaces which you gave inside the HTML file, but still I want to shift this particular sentence on the next line. That time I will use the tag, call it as break tag. If you use the break tag, easily you can shift any content on the next line. Is it clear? Class, I will revise each and everything. So don't worry about that. Now, next topic we are going to learn, that is nothing but HTML form. The best example for HTML form you can take Google Form. Why we are using Google Form? If you observe in the institute also, many times we used to share the Google Form with you. Why? To collect user information. Okay, whenever we want to collect the students data, whenever we want to collect the user information, that time we are going to create the Google Form. Similarly, in the HTML, we are using the concept, call it as HTML form. Purpose is same, to collect user information. In the HTML, whenever you want to collect the user information, we are taking the help of HTML form. Like in the Java, I don't know whether are you done with the inbuilt libraries? Okay, no problem. Done. So I can't give the example of the Java. Leave it. Just remember one purpose. Supposedly, I am going to create one application. Call it as Gmail application. Here, I am going to give one particular choice to the user that register in the application. For at the time of this registration, my requirement is I want to collect users data. I want to collect users data. At this time, what I will use? I am going to use the concept, call it as HTML form. So remember, in your application, whenever you require the users data, whenever you are thinking, no, at this point, I want the data from the user, I want to take the data from the user, that time directly you have to use the concept, call it as HTML form. So in simple way, in the simple words, why we are using the HTML form? Just to collect the user information, or you can call it as a user's data. Whenever you want to collect the users data, that time we are using the concept, call it as HTML form. To represent this HTML form in the HTML, we are using one tag, call it as form tag. To represent the HTML forms, we are using one tag, call it as form tag. Open the form tag and close the form tag. Now, in this form tag, we have two important components. In this form tag, we have two important components. First one, we have label. Second one, we have input box. First one, we have label. Second one, we have input box. Means what, ma'am? Many times you can observe the form in this way. Enter first name. Enter first name, and beside this first name you can get one box. So to give this enter first name, we are using the label, and to create this input box, we are using one tag. We are calling this enter first name, we are calling it as a label, and this is your input box. So why we are using label? In the simple words you can call to guide the user. To guide the user, that user, in this particular box you have to enter your first name. To guide the user, to give the directions to the user, we are using the label. We are using the label, and this box, technically you can call it as an input box, or you can call it as a text box. You can call it as input box, or you can call it as a text box. Now, next thing, to To give the directions or to guide the user, as you know that we are using the label, and to create this label inside the HTML form, we are using one tag, call it as label tag. To create this label inside the HTML form, we are using one tag, call it as label tag. Similarly, to create this input box or text box, we are using one tag, call it as input tag, from which I can take users data. From which I can take users data. So concept is very simple, guys. HTML form. Why we are using this concept? Just for one purpose, I want to collect the user information inside my application. In the Facebook, in the Instagram, in the Gmail, wherever you will go, you have to register inside that application. So for registration, they are going to use the concept, call it as HTML form, because they want to collect your data. Okay, to represent this particular concept in the HTML file, we are using one tag, call it as form tag. In the form tag, we have two important components. First one is label, second one is input box. What is label? So we are using the label to give the direction or to guide the user. A user, listen. In this input box, you have to enter your first name. In this input box, you have to enter your password. In this particular input box, you have to enter your mobile number. Like that, if you want to guide further, you have to give the guidance for the user. We are using one tag, call it as label tag. Second thing, to take the input or to take that particular user information, we require one input box. Okay, to create this input box, we are using the input tag. To create this input box, we are using the input tag. Theoretically, at least, did you understand this theory part? Is it clear? Inside the body tag, see guys, whatever you want to display on this web page, that each and everything you should write in the body tag. Okay, so here I am going to write down one text. BR, close the BR. Here just write down HTML form. Then use the form tag. Close the form tag. Inside the form tag, first task, use the label tag. Here, enter full name. Close the label tag. Again, use one tag, call it as input tag, and close the input tag. Just save this, go to the browser and refresh. Are you able to get enter full name with the input box? And if you check, if you click inside the input box, I can enter my name. If you click inside the input box, you can enter your name as well as you can enter the number, you can enter the symbols, you can enter the special characters. So are you able to understand how you can create the input box as well as how you can give the directions to the user, how you can collect the data from the user? Are you able to understand, guys? Like, ma'am, where we can store this data? So guys, this data we can store in the database. This data we can store in the database, and about the database you are going to learn in the SQL. About the database you are going to learn in the SQL. Here just we are going to learn that how you can create the front end, how to create the backend. Detailed clarity you will get in the Advanced Java. How to create the backend, detailed clarity you will get in the Advanced Java. If SQL is completed, then awesome. Already you know that we are using the database to store the data. So similarly, how it is possible, that thing I can't teach you right now. We will learn that thing in the Advanced Java. If you observe, every time in the Google form you will get the submit button, in the login form you will get the login button, in the registration form you will get the register button. If you click on this button, you are going to submit the form, yes or no? Once you click on this button, you are going to submit that form, you are going to write inside the particular, you are able to log in inside the application. So how to create that button, just observe here. To create the button also we are using the same thing, that is nothing but we are using the tag, call it as input tag. Now why we are using this input tag? My purpose is very simple, because I will give here comment tags to submit HTML form. To submit the HTML form, you require one submit button, and whenever you want to create the button, that time you have to use the input tag. Inside the input tag, you have to use one concept, call it as attribute. Observe here. Inside the input tag, you have to use the concept, call it as attribute. So what is attribute in the HTML? Attributes are nothing but you can call them as a keywords. Attributes are nothing but you can call them as a keywords which is responsible to give the information related to your tag, which is responsible to give the information related to your tag. So here, whenever you want to create the submit button, that time with this input tag, we are going to use one attribute, call it as, we are going to use one attribute, call it as type attribute. For this type attribute, we are going to pass the value as submit. For this type attribute, we are going to pass the value as submit. So quickly just observe over here. I am going to use the type attribute. Attribute is nothing but it is just the keyword which are present in your HTML, and here just pass the value as submit, save it, go to the browser and refresh it. Are you able to get the button, submit button? And just click on submit. Your form will get submit, means this, once you click on the submit button, your data will get saved inside the database. But how? That thing you will learn in the advanced Java. Till that time, just remember, if you enter the values over here and once you click on the submit, then your data will get stored in the database. How to perform that task, we will learn in the particular advanced Java. Till remember, if you want to create the submit button in the HTML, use the input tag, use the attribute, call it as type, and it's mandatory that you have to pass the value in a double quotes only. Whenever in the HTML you want to pass the value for the attribute, it is mandatory that you have to pass that value in the double quote. Don't consider it as a string. It is not a string. It is just a format. If you want to pass the value for the attribute in the HTML, you have to pass that value in a double quotes. It is just a format. It is not a string. Don't consider it as a string. Is it clear, guys? How to create the HTML form, how to create input box as well as submit button? Understood? Done. Okay. So guys, revise all the topics, whatever the topics we covered in the today's class. Tomorrow I will revise each and everything, as well as I will give you the notes regarding HTML forms also. Tomorrow I will revise each and everything, as well as I will give you the notes. No problem at all. Okay, done. Have a great evening then. Bye bye. Tata. No, I will not provide notes in the form of PDF, Naveen. Yeah, have a great evening. Have a nice meal. Take care. Tata. Bye bye. See you. Tomorrow class timing 3:30 to 5:30.